Hello Earthlings, you're listening to the Environment and Science podcast, The Earth Show. Hello and welcome to The Earth Show here with me, Alicia. This is the show where we talk about all things environmental, science and sustainability related, from the biggest issues across our globe to what's going on right here in our local community. And community is at the heart of our conversation today, as I'm going to be joined by the Community Benefit Society, Greater Manchester Community Renewables, to talk about their brilliant work at bringing control back to local areas to benefit both people and the planet. It's exciting, it's refreshing, and it is looking to be more and more common in the future. And so I'm really pleased to be joined by two members of the organisation to talk about their work and why you might well be interested in it yourself. But before we launch into their work today and why it's relevant to you, let me introduce to you our two guests for the show, Helen and Tudor. Now, to introduce them properly, Helen has been interested in the environment and ways to mitigate climate change since school, and has been involved in engaging the general public in climate action in a variety of capacities since leaving university. In her day job, she works for a climate change education charity based in Manchester called the Carbon Literacy Project. She's been volunteering with GMCR since 2020 and helped oversee the previous share offer, as well as primarily completing the regular invoicing task each quarter. In her spare time, she particularly enjoys heading to music festivals, where she's been lucky to land some volunteer roles, including engaging the general public in games relating to carbon reduction and, most recently, litter picking. And for Tudor, having joined as a member in 2019, Tudor first volunteered for GMCR during the 2023 share offer before joining the board in 2024. He currently works as a climate change officer at Manchester City Council, supporting communities to take positive environmental actions. Thank you so much for joining me today, both of you. It's lovely to have you here.
Thanks, lovely to be here.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
It's brilliant to have you here. We've been having a nice chat before the show. It's actually taken us quite a while to sit down and record, slightly due to my own disorganisation, but also because we ended up talking about a previous show that I actually recorded with Frog Life about toad patrols, which
sounded fascinating. To be fair, yeah.
It was good fun. You might want to listen back to it yourself. But obviously that's not what we're talking about today. We're talking about your incredible organisation, which I said at the beginning, but is really exciting to me. It is something that I just think is still really fresh, and it's going to be becoming more common, and it really is of interest to our listeners today. But before we crack into kind of what it's all about, where it's come from, and how it works, shall we just start with you guys and your background? Because in both of your descriptions at the very beginning, we can clearly establish that you're both quite passionate about the environment. And you mentioned, Helen, in your introduction that you've kind of been passionate since school. Do you know what started it for you?
I don't know. I remember some things in school that I always found quite fascinating.
Yeah.
I remember they had one of those kind of theatre show type things that would like tour around the schools that like focused on specific issues. And I think there was one about recycling or like environmental issues generally that caught my interest.
Yeah.
I think I've always been interested in stuff like that.
It's actually really interesting to hear about how it was kind of that touring thing that did it for you, because in a way your work kind of links into having the same effect on the next generation, which we'll probably be talking about later on, won't we, in your involvement with schools. How about you, Tudor? Where do you think it came from for you?
I'm not sure, to be honest. I was never hugely involved or interested in the environment when I was like a really young lad. Maybe I was just messing about like young lads do. And then it was when I went to university in Leeds. They had a course focused on sustainability and environmental management, and it seemed just a bit different to me. And it was quite a small course, and about 20 people did it, but it was all about climate change and different aspects of sustainability around the world, from kind of like, you know, argan oil manufacturing in sub-Saharan Africa to, measuring, samples of invertebrates in rivers. And I just love that it was like a broad remit of everything. And then from there it's kind of, that was in 2015, so like Paris Accord, so things kind of blew up at the time, learning about all that. And it really piqued my interest, and just a bit involved in environmental stuff ever since, basically. And haven't stopped now.
And the other thing you mentioned in your introduction, Helen, is your love of music festivals.
Yes, well, I feel like we both love a music festival, actually. That is how we met.
Really?
Yeah,
That's
well,
so
we
cool.
was so we were it was Blue Dot Festival 20. It was funny because it was doing climate change stuff,
Yeah.
but at a festival. So it's like the two things that we kind of really get on with, isn't it? And so it was Blue Dot Festival 2018,
18?
I think. Yeah,
That's really cool. So what do you do when you go to a festival? Because I actually haven't come across this type of volunteering before.
I think it depends on what you're involved in. This one was specifically in the science field, which Blue Dot is a very music and science focused festival. Some are a bit more music art, but obviously it's at a Jodrell Bank, which is a massive it's got a massive telescope, the Lovell telescope. So it's very science focused, and it had a whole field of science related activities, games, workshops. So we were just playing games and doing activities with anyone who was interested. Between the music, it was fantastic, I have to say.
That sounds really cool.
It was great. It was a really good. We always say it was such a good gig. We did it 2 years in a row, and I don't think we'll ever get that lucky again, to be honest. Because it was just sort of we were just doing stuff. Like, we first met when we were on the taxi on the way there, and then we've been friends ever since. It was a really nice way to get to know each other. And then at the festival, which sadly I don't think they do anymore. I think COVID sort of hit the brakes on it, but it was an incredible festival that had, as Helen said, lots of science-based stuff as well. So families would come and they'd really be interested to learn about what's going on, learn about the science behind things, and there was all sorts going on at the festival. So it was really, and good music as well, to be fair. So we've always bonded over that, and now we meet up because Helen volunteers at Glastonbury, and we go to Glastonbury as well. So hopefully meeting up this year.
Oh, that's really cool.
We've got a nice little crew as well that, still largely based in Manchester, so we all try and meet up when we can, who kind of met at that point.
That's a really cool way to meet, I feel like. And it's kind of interesting how it's like you're interested in, I guess, in the festival side, the music side, but also your passion for the environment. And then that kind of brought you together. And obviously you're working together now in this incredible organisation, which we should probably start talking about now, shouldn't we? And so the word that came up, and when I spoke to you both before the show, something you really wanted to take the time to explain, Tudor, was the idea of community energy and what that is. Because some people might have heard of it, some people might not have heard of it, could hazard a guess. What is community energy? What's it talking about?
It's a good point. I mean, it's community energy is so you've heard of community, you've heard of energy, but community energy is essentially power to the people. It's giving people back the energy and the generation of energy from big companies and things like that, who are traditionally are the ones who generate the energy. Shell, BP, and things like that. They'll give it to the energy companies, Octopus or whoever it is, and British Gas, and you'll buy it off them, and you have no attachment at all to that energy or where it comes from, other than paying them every month for that bill. Community energy is a way of flipping that on its head and saying, actually, no, hang on a minute. Especially with the emergence of renewables, it's saying, hang on a minute, we can put renewables all throughout our community. We don't have to mine the stuff in another country. We can put solar panels on a roof, and hey, by the way, if we own them, then it means that we can keep all the benefits. We don't have to pay shareholders dividends. We don't have to send the money off elsewhere. So yeah, in a nutshell, it's the community energy. It is what it says on the tin. It's for the community. It's for everybody who's involved in it.
I think that makes a lot of sense to me anyway. It's kind of about downsizing things that have been made so big and kind of so detached from you as a consumer.
For sure.
I was kind of thinking of it like ethical energy. You get people love going to farm shops and getting meat from nearby, or like milk from people getting milk bottles now. It's kind of like that, like you said. It's like ethical. It's getting it from your local supplier rather than paying some huge mega company to do it for you. Okay, it might be they might be able to do it cheaper overall, but actually you can have that locally. The benefits can stay within the community if you get the right setup, and that's what we're trying to do at GMCR.
Yeah, that's it. It keeps things circulating in the community more. Using local suppliers where possible. There's the hundreds across the UK. Community Energy England has this fantastic interactive map where you can actually see all the different projects like wind, solar, hydro, and there's little pinpoints so you can zoom in, and ours are on there. So it's really interesting if you get a chance.
Yeah, it's a fascinating thing, and once you start looking into it, the more you see, and it's not just energy generation as well. People like Carbon Co-op in Manchester, who do a lot of work around retrofitting homes. It's a huge area as well, so they do a lot of test retrofits and exploration into retrofit and how to make that roll out on a big scale as well. So they're community energy company. So yeah, a huge remit. And as I say, yeah, just hopefully, as you said before, going to be growing as well, and want more people to find out about it. Because once people find out about it, you sort of tell them at events and things, and they're like, well, yeah, obviously I'm going to do that. It makes loads of sense. And it's like, yeah, it does, and it's just okay. Well, let's keep going. Let's try and build some momentum. And, that's what we're trying to do.
That's really exciting, and it's going to be great to talk exactly about what you guys are doing at GMCR as well as we continue on the show. But I think that's a great introduction to community energy. So we'll go for a quick break, and then we'll be back talking exactly about what kind of work you do. Welcome back to the show for those of you who are just joining us, or those of you who have joined from the beginning. Today we're joined by Helen and Tudor from Greater Manchester Community Renewables, talking all about their work and why you may well be interested in it yourself. It is super interesting stuff from what I've heard so far. We just had a really short conversation about what community energy was, which Tudor, you kind of explained to us at the beginning, because some of us may not have heard of it. And to me, if I summarise it correctly, as you described, you say it's kind of like ethical energy. It's bringing it back.
Ethical energy, power to the people, that kind of thing. Yeah. Bringing it back within the control.
And I loved your analogy to like it being like a farm shop, kind of.
Yeah, it's like actually think about it. Hang on a minute, why do I get my milk from somewhere I don't even know? It's like actually we have especially with renewables now. You really do have the power to bring those energy generation assets closer to where.
And
we
I
are.
guess especially when like big corporations aren't changing quick enough, in a lot of people's opinions, that's a way that you can kind of speed up in a small scale way, 100%. Which really does add up. But obviously, we're back on the show. We've introduced community energy, but let's introduce you guys, Greater Manchester Community Renewables. Who are you? What do you do?
So, as the name you would guess, we're Greater Manchester based, started in 2015, so 10 years going now. And I think the idea was really just that we'd seen successful projects elsewhere in the UK, and it made sense for Greater Manchester to have one as well. Why not, if it can be successful in other places? So we started off with just a few sites, and we've done a few different share offers now, but we've got 10 sites going, and that's primarily on primary schools, but also a couple of secondary schools as well, in the Salford, Trafford and Bury areas. So yeah, and it's volunteer run. Everyone is volunteering their time, and everyone's just really passionate who volunteers. So it's great to work with people who really care. And I mean, Ali Abbas and Kate Eldridge, who founded the project, they're fantastic. They give so much of their time to the project, and it would be lost without them.
I think when I speak to them, it was more, and what they talk about the reason for doing it was that wanted to just do something. We kind of said it before. It's the opportunity for people to actually do something, and climate change is so big and scary and out there. It's like, what can I do sat here in my bedroom? What can I actually do about this? And I think that's what Ali and Kate were a bit fed up about. Not, like you're saying, big companies, nothing's moving fast enough. They've got the technology, and they said, okay, well, let's make this happen. Let's do it. And they have done it, and it's been going for 10 years, and they've done a really good job of it. And there's Helen and I, as soon as we found out about it, we were like, we want to get involved with that because it's such a good ethos, and that's where we are now.
It's incredible when an initiative like this is volunteer run, because I can imagine there's an awful lot to it. But take us through the steps. You said, was it 10 sites?
There's 10 sites now. Yeah, so started off with a few. I think the first share offer was in 2016. Mm-hmm. So actually should explain that as well. Yeah. We run by having an offer for people to invest into the solar panels, primarily local people, as it's a community-based project, but actually anyone across the UK can invest.
I suppose the main bit the main point is like we have members, so we're a community interest company who are member owned. So the reason it's community energy is because people can buy into it, and then the idea is that they have a stake in that energy. So when you become a member of Greater Manchester Community Energy, when we have a share offer, so you invest £1,000, £10,000, even as low as £100, you can invest anything over £100. Then you become a member of GMCR. And that you basically have a stake in what goes on as a community interest company. But it is the board and everything like that is volunteer run. But when we have the AGM every year, any of the members can have a vote and have a say, and it's one vote per person. So in that way, it's kind of a democratic organisation as well. And that's how we basically raise the finances for the solar panels. It's those investment opportunities. So it's a share offers we open, and we've only had 4 of them, I think, so far. And we're going to open a new one very, very soon, which is really, really exciting. So yeah, people have the chance to join GMCR if they want, or if previous investors will want to invest again, then they can do it as well.
That's really cool. So essentially you put out a share offer, people choose to invest their money, and then what's the process that happens from there? Obviously the solar panels are ending up on some roofs. What are the steps you go through? How do you choose where? How does it work? For the shareholders even? Yeah,
well, we've got a few sites in mind, and there is a few steps that we have to get through in terms of permissions. It also has to be, for solar, it has to be the right kind of roof. It has to be angled the right way as to not have shading from too much trees or nearby tall buildings. So I've spent quite a bit of time actually on Google Maps just zooming in and then using the 3D to look at the kind of the tilt, and the shape, because it needs to be big enough. It's quite technical, and I don't get too involved after that in terms of what's the right one versus not quite right. But yeah, there's quite a lot of steps, and I mean, sometimes if you have like a listed building, that could be quite challenging. Yeah, I think there are other projects maybe that have had challenges with that type of thing because we've largely put solar panels on schools. I think maybe they tend to not be that tends to not be so much of an issue. But yeah, some other buildings I think would be a little bit more challenging for that reason.
Tends to be kind of flat roofs, which are really good for solar panels. So Wellington, which we put solar panels on 2 years ago, which hopefully some of your listeners might know if they might even live nearby, because it's only over in Timperley down the road. So Wellington Secondary School, we put about 950 panels on there, funded all through the community. Back in 2023, and that was over 4 different buildings, I think. That was £350,000 worth of investment. So that was the biggest. We basically doubled our capacity. I want to say overnight, but it doesn't take overnight to build it. We doubled it in about a year, just having that big secondary school on. So that was a huge win for us, and we're really thankful and really happy to have the good people watching them join GMCR as well.
That's so cool. So obviously the solar panels go on the roofs when you've kind of obviously gone through all those stages, which, I mean, obviously for you're obviously going on Google Maps, you're looking at all these different kind of things you have to take into account if the building is suitable. Obviously the finances you have available probably comes into it from how much your shareholders have invested. The solar panels get installed on the roof. Then what happens? How does it work? How does it kind of stay in that cycle of giving back to the community?
So when you put solar panels on a roof, whenever you need electricity, you'll take it when it's available. But as we know with solar panels, renewables, they're not always generating, or as you know in schools, they're not always in school. So when it's a sunny Saturday, the energy isn't used by the school. It's fed back into the grid, so then the grid and then use it. But basically, we as GMCR own those solar panels, and the school leases their roof space to us. And basically, what happens then is we become their energy supplier. So we generate the energy, sell it to them at a much reduced rate than they would get it from the grid. So it makes sense for them because they're getting a lot less. They're paying a lot less for their energy. And I should highlight, and this is one of the things about community energy, which for me is a huge win. When you see spikes in energy, which we have done recently, think about the war in Russia, gas crisis, and a couple of years ago, schools we reckon the schools who had our solar panels on saved thousands of pounds just by being with GMCR, because we weren't inclined to just put the prices up for no reason. Whereas anyone who's getting them, anyone here who's listening would have been getting their energy from the market, it would have been wholesale energy price. And that's where community energy again is great, because it's trying to detach from the wholesale energy price and from
We've estimated, it's estimated that we've saved the sites collectively over 190,000 with their bills. So it's quite significant amounts when you look at it on the whole. But even for an individual school, schools don't have that much money, so they can save some cost here. And also, it's a win-win in terms of where the energy is coming from. Also, I think for the particularly the schools for the children, getting them interested in this, and it's really active, direct learning. It's not. And it makes it much more tangible, I think, for them if they can be learning about solar energy and green energy in general, and they can actually look up at their own roof and see it. And I think it's a lot more powerful probably than something that's a bit more abstract.
Yeah, definitely. The kind of power of being able to see, they say you can't be what you can't see, but it's a similar kind of idea. Obviously, no one's going to be a solar panel, but it's about, people are going to be perhaps inclined to take what they've learned on in their own lives and it can influence them because they've seen it and they've directly had something to do with it. Yeah,
and the benefit is we always install standard sort of real-time meters in the schools as well, so they can go in and at any point and see it, and so it's that educational tool as well. So when we had the opening party at Wellington a couple of years ago, or maybe last year, the eco committee came and sort of welcomed us and said they were really excited to have the solar panels and things like that. Yeah, so as Helen said, it's that education which is the sort of a big part of it for us.
Yeah, so it's kind of giving back in the sense that the educational side, but also on the side that the schools are saving money, and we know how tight school budgets can be at the moment, especially. And so I guess that extra money can really go quite a long way in the schools.
For 100%, And then I should add as well, so we make the money off the school. We charge them a reduced rate for their energy, but we still make money off the school when it's really sunny. When it's getting ever sunnier. Basically, the way we get extra money and any extra profits go into something called the community fund, and this is one way where we keep the money local. So it's basically any surplus profit goes into the community fund, and that can be bid into by any of the schools to put towards projects which focus on carbon reduction, on education, or anything to do with the environment. Really, it's that way of making. So, okay, we've made a bit of extra money this year because it was, for instance, when the energy price was really high, made a bit of extra money. That's not going to shareholders. That's going to the community fund, and then they can reuse it. For projects as well.
I think we've awarded about £13,000 to different projects at the moment, and those have included recycling facilities, forest school areas, and LED lighting as well.
That's really cool, and especially like in a city like Greater Manchester, there's a lot of built up areas, so something like a forest school actually can make a huge difference 100%. To kids who don't get that contact with nature that often.
Really important.
So it's all that wrap-around environment. And that's where it kind of helps with the guys who've been involved with it, and it's probably why me and Helen enjoy it so much, because it's, okay, we're just doing energy generation, we're just doing solar panels, but actually, we're thinking whole systems here. We're thinking about everything to do with the environment. We're not just a business. We're not just in the business of generating energy and selling it. We're in the business of sort of changing people's mindset. We want people to look at things differently. We want people to look at the energy system differently. We want them to think about the communities differently. This is about changing kind of. That's what community energy for me is changing the way we do things for the better for me anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so cool to hear about, and energy security is really quite topical, especially what obviously has happened recently with the war in Ukraine, and how much energy bills have come up. So that resilience for a community is probably of a lot of interest to people, even if they weren't necessarily thinking about the environmental side of things.
Yeah, for sure. And also, I think the sense of ownership and community that it helps to build at all the different sites, community centres as well. Particularly, I suppose, with schools, children are only there for a set amount of time, but actually you might have staff that are there for longer. So them being able to invest, their friends and family potentially being able to invest in something that's, really local and tangible, I think makes a real difference.
Yeah, some of I know a number of investors who actually work at the schools that we work with, and I think once because again, it's one of those, it's like once you tell people about it, once they know about it, once they know how it's run, and and they can see the results, and they can see it happening tangibly in front of them. They think, okay, yeah, this is not just something's happening out there. We can really do something here as well, and that's really always positive to see. And people reinvesting as well when we have another share offer. That's always nice to see, because it shows a bit of confidence in their trust our track record to sort of deliver to deliver the company on a year on year.
It's really cool to hear about, and absolutely I can understand why they would, given what you've talked about already. I guess another question I have is all of your money that you have that goes into these solar panels, is it all from shareholders? Is there any kind of grants you're able to get? Because obviously there is a push on renewable switches. Is there any of that which comes into your funding, or is it completely shareholder driven?
Well, we were really generous recently to get something called the Community Energy Fund. So this is a really important funding part, which is for so it's all across England, and it's basically for any community energy company can bid to it for different phases of the journey in creating community energy. So we bid into phase 1, and then we won some money in phase 2, and the total is about £100,000, and that's helped with all the kind of, I want to say, in inverted commas, boring stuff with which goes on behind the scenes. Yeah. You're talking about legal fees. You have to write leases up. You have to do. You have to get people to come and check whether the roof is spongy enough. There's no asbestos. All these kind of things. There's a lot that goes on. You have to design marketing plans. You have to do website design. So there's that kind of stuff we don't really want the members to have to pay for as much as possible. So having a fund like that with the Community Energy Fund that can pay for that kind of stuff really frees up and it frees up money that can go purely on solar panels.
Do you know why you decided solar panels in the first place?
Oh, that's a good question.
Well, wind turbines are a lot more expensive, so harder to put on in your communities.
You need a bit more space as well, potentially. Whereas, I think roofs are quite often just unused space. So it's something that is a lot more accessible, I would say, across particularly cities where perhaps more wide open spaces. I mean, there are some smaller scale wind projects in the area, I think, but they're not as. I think solar panels.
They're more unreliable, aren't they? Wind turbines too, on occasion.
Yeah.
Can be that. Yeah, can be intermittent as well. I mean, ideally, we're not strictly solar panels in theory. We'd love to build all sorts of renewable energy, if possible. But perhaps in the future, you might look at it. But I mean, has been the last government had a moratorium on onshore wind for about 10 years. So that basically put the buffers on wind. I think it was like 2022. There was more onshore wind built in Ukraine than there was in England or something like that. And they were at war. And I always remember that stat, because I just think it's bonkers. Wow. It's because for 10 years we weren't allowed to build wind in England, which is mad, really, isn't it? So maybe it'll change, hopefully, anyway, with the new government.
Yeah, particularly being an island, it's definitely there is the potential there as well. Yeah,
definitely. And there's concerns with all forms of power, quite literally. Yeah. So there's always debates as to what can go where and why. But what is quite clear to me is putting solar panels on schools is a really positive thing. So you've talked about Wellington School was obviously your biggest project, and you've also done projects at primary schools across Trafford, Salford and Bury. Yep. What's been the most exciting one? What was your first one, perhaps?
Well, I was involved back in 2016, 2015. You'd have to ask those. When did you get involved?
I have been involved. The Wellington one was the first big sheriff that I was involved with, actually.
I think that's got to be the most exciting thing, because, as I say, that was just huge in scale, and it was just mad to think that because I don't want to say we done small scale solar panels, but they were small school roofs, whereas this was, as I say, doubled the sort of 9 sites we already had in one site. So, it was a huge amount.
Did you invest in one of the earlier ones?
I invested in 2019.
Can you remember what one that was for?
I can't actually.
No, I was just trying to... What's the order of ones? That could have been Springwood, but I also don't want to... That could be wrong.
I'm putting you on the spot, really.
Yeah. So, but as I say, the Wellington one was obviously super. It was really exciting for that reason, and also it's always exciting when you go into a new area as well. Yeah. So this was the first one, in sort of down this end. It's just in Altrincham, and hopefully in the future we can go all across Greater Manchester.
Yeah. There is probably so much potential across Greater Manchester, which must be really exciting for you.
It is exciting, yeah. It's exciting for us, exciting for the communities involved. It's exciting for everyone, really. It should be. It's just a case of making sure that we have the right tools to be able to do that. So talk about things like the Community Energy Fund. We need to see those things carry on, and the good words from the Labour government need to be followed through with really positive actions on the ground, basically. And that's kind of what we're looking out for now.
And I think once in a specific area, once there are a couple of projects going, then I think word of mouth can spread a bit more easily as well. And again, that visible promotion of kind of what's happening there. Yeah. People walk past and see, there's solar panels on that building, on that roof. And they think, actually, maybe that's something we could do as well. And I think it could spread more easily once it's seeded in a different area of GM.
And the school's a great environment for that because there's so many people there coming and going, parents, carers, children, guardians, and it kind of gets that conversation going.
People have often got links as well, kind of across the place. They might have friends at different schools and they can talk, or family even.
That's really cool. So you mentioned that you have a new share offer coming up soon. Do you have any of the details of that share offer?
So there's 4 new sites that we're hoping to fund. I mentioned Springwood earlier. So one of them is an extension at the existing site in, I think that's in Swinton, that one. Then there's a new array at the Earlham site of Springwood as well. And then I think these 2 are kind of to be confirmed, but there's a leisure centre potentially in Trafford and a new array at primary school in Manchester as well. So very exciting.
Yeah, 4 new ones.
I think the minimum that we need for the share offer, that would probably just to do one of these sites is, I think 45,000 is what we'd be looking for, but what we're aiming for is 250,000. That's to do everything.
All of those projects.
Yeah.
So for £250,000, if we get that investment, that'll be, we'll be able to do all 4 of those sites. And I think we've had a bit of money to put towards it ourselves, so it's a nice round figure for 250,000. And we're really excited to open this share offer. And again, like we did at Wellington, we can offer investors up to 5% interest on their investments per year, depending on how the performance of the solar panels over the year, which is really exciting as well.
That's really cool. It's really exciting to hear that you've got 4 new projects. How long do you keep a share offer open for to kind of work out how much money you've got towards what you want to do?
That's the tricky bit, I think, keeping it open for the right amount of time. We could always extend it as well, potentially, maybe by a couple of weeks or something. But I think we're going for about 5 weeks for this one.
So it's quite a narrow time frame because it's a large amount to fundraise.
Yes.
I mean, the trouble is you'd always rather have longer, but with a lot of 3 of the sites are schools, and it's a darn sight easier to build on the school in summer holidays. Yeah. So we're very constrained by when we can get onto school sites. Yeah. Not us, and us are the people who we pay to put the solar panels on. It's a lot easier for them. The schools prefer it. We can do that summertime. Yeah. So we traditionally GMCR, the share offers always end towards the end of July. That way we can get the money in the bank and start paying the installers to get the solar panels. To put solar panels on over summer holidays when it's
so is the installation, because I think summer holidays aren't like hugely long, is the installation of solar panels actually quite quick once you've kind of done the groundwork in advance?
It can be. From memory from the last one, I think it was a couple of weeks that it took to get the main bits sorted. I think there's some prep that you need to do in that time as well. And obviously things can take a bit longer. Sometimes it could be a bit weather dependent. We know some holidays doesn't necessarily mean blazing sun. But I think it can be done in that time period, which means it is it makes sense to try and get it sorted.
Yeah. Hopefully all being well, we'll get the money by the end of July and all the solar panels be on. But I mean, with the leisure centre, we'll probably go over the other side of summer, but before then we're a bit constrained. But as I say, we've got a short window, but that's why we're really keen for people to get out there and have a look at the share offer, which is online. People can see that. It's got all our past performance financially. You can see how we've done as a company over the past few years. You can see what the offer is this time round. You can see what the benefits are going to be of the new panels. You can see where the panels are going to be. You can see everything to do with the company before you make a decision to invest or not. And we really advise people to really study that the business plan and on the share offer to find out about GMCR and read it, and then if they feel like it, then make an investment and join the club.
And you can ask questions as well. We've got a contact form on the website. You can also just email us. We're always happy to answer things if people have got any concerns, or we'll be at various local fairs and fetes, and we'll have some stalls around, so you might see us around, and feel free to come and say hi. We're happy to chat.
I was just search GMCR online, or at We Are GMCR, Greater Manchester Community Renewables. I'm sure you'll see us. We've got the yellow branding, yellow and black. I'm sure you'll see that as well. I think one thing I probably didn't mention it before when we were talking about the process of GMCR was actually that people do get that return on investment, and I think that's one of the main things. We want to make this financially appealing to people. So for the share offer, you invest, and then you're going to get that investment paid back over 10 years with your interest at up to 5% as well. So that's why it's beneficial for everyone to invest in it.
Yeah, that's probably the third, win. It's really
triple win.
Yeah, it's a really a fantastic opportunity for people as well.
Yeah, it really does sound like it. It's been really interesting hearing about what your work can do for a community, and how positive it can be, and that you've got a new exciting share offer coming up, which listeners can literally go and kind of look up and ask questions about if that's something they're interested in.
Like I said, it's people's chance, an opportunity to do something about climate change. I think I think these sites could save hundreds of tons of CO2 over the. I think I've got a stat here. It's 800 tons of CO2 that our sites have avoided from having the solar panels on. That's huge. That's probably, I think I worked out, about as much as someone's carbon footprint in the whole lifetime. So it's like,
wow.
So it's like, we're talking about real carbon savings here. More than you might do from the small things you might do in your lifestyle. This is a real way to make use of that. Money as well.
Yeah, so if there are a lot of people obviously that care about this and they want to take action, they maybe don't know how to do that. This is a very real, tangible thing that you can do. And we'll do the hard work of figure out the logistics. But if you are happy to trust us, as Tudor said, go and take a look at the website, see some of the info about the previous sites, where they are. Hopefully it's something that people can do and take action.
Brilliant. And on that note, let's go for another break, and then we'll come back and we have some listener questions to answer. Hello and welcome back to the Earth Show here with me, Alicia, joined today by Helen and Tudor from Greater Manchester Community Renewables. We've had a great chat so far, all about your work, finding out about it, the benefits it can have for a community on so many different levels. And it's been fascinating for me and super inspiring, actually, seeing how much of a positive impact this voluntary organisation can have, and how this is something that you've mentioned is being done by a few people across the UK, and hopefully we'll see more and more of it. But what's more exciting is you can actually get involved yourself, and some of you are well involved in the show, of course, because you've sent in some questions. So for the final segment of the show, we're just going to go to some of your listener questions that you've sent in. We won't unfortunately have time for all of them, but we will try and get through as many as we can in this final segment for you, because there's some really interesting ones. So the first question, and feel free, both of you take it, one of you take it. The first one I have here is, how much consideration do you give to choosing which solar panels?
Quite a lot. So we were having this in-depth discussion just early this year, in terms of, because where they are often made in other countries. China are quite a big supplier of solar panels. We do have to be careful in terms of the supply chain. There has been some contention and around the supply chain not necessarily being so ethical in terms of who's involved and how much people are being paid. So we had a long discussion on it. However, it is it's hard because not all of it is that. You have to dig really deep, and sometimes it's just not there, the information.
Yeah.
So we discussed based on all of the information that we had, but at some point you are just trying to make the best decision based on what information we have, and it's available. Exactly.
Unfortunately, they don't make solar panels in the UK. It's not a Manchester supply. There's precious metals that are mined in parts of the world that needs to come from. So
obviously, and I think, with any type of energy or anything in life, any product, something that's tangible, the materials have come from somewhere, and there's always an ethical consideration involved. But it's really good to hear that you do think about that.
Yeah.
It's not always easy to track, especially being like a community. It's not like you're a huge mass scale energy company who maybe can get further information in an easier way because they're just buying such huge volumes. But it's really good to hear that you are taking that seriously, because obviously for a lot of people that is something they really care about, the ethical concerns as to who's making it, where it's come from.
When we're trying to do something that is for the good of people, the community, and we consider it, a bit like ethical energy, then to not take into consideration that side of things, it would be irresponsible, really.
Yeah.
So we definitely tried to make the best decision we could with the information that we had, and weigh things up.
That's really great to hear about. Okay, next question I have here is: do solar panels only work if it is sunny?
It's always a good question, isn't it? The answer is no. Solar panels do work if it's not sunny. Is that the right way around? Kind of like a double negative, but so solar panels do work if it's not sunny. They're obviously not as efficient, they're not as effective, but they do work when it's not sunny. So you can still generate energy. We do generate energy even daylight today, which is a bit cloudy. We still generate energy. And actually, it was a cloudy day today, but I was looking at the stats as I do on a day, and 20% of England's energy was actually generated from solar power today. Yeah, and it's a cloudy day today as well.
Wow, so that shows you.
That's amazing.
That's really interesting, because I think that is a common misconception with solar panels, isn't it? That only on this glorious sunny day, which we don't get loads of necessarily in the UK.
I'd like to think of it as you can still get sunburnt on a overcast day. Yeah. So it's similar. It might not be. It's not going to be the same, and the energy, it will be lower. But you will still be getting some through.
But the fact that 20%, obviously this is not airing on the day we're recording it, so you might be looking at the sky and being like, really? It's more than a bit cloudy.
Yeah. I'd call it like a normal spring day today, sort of summery day today. Quite
I'd
cloudy,
say it's a medium
bit
temperature.
Yeah.
It's in the teens, but not high.
You wouldn't say it's sunny though, would you? But then even then,
it's not freezing outside. No. You don't need a thick coat.
No. But then it doesn't need to be hot either. We can generate a lot of energy just when it's sunny in the winter as well. Yeah. Which we find as well. And that's actually because one thing we have to think about: schools are in session during a winter in the main part, and it's still financially viable even when they're even in winter when there's not a lot of sun. The schools are still using enough energy to make it financially viable.
Okay, next question I have here is: how much can a school save in its utility bill by having solar panels?
The quick stats we've got is that it's basically since we started, schools have saved, I think it's over £100,000. We reckon.
It's 200,000.
Is it almost 200,000? Yeah. It's a figure that we don't really know for sure because we don't collect the data and compile it because it's kind of it's commercially sensitive. But we can make averages based on the price of electricity that we give it at and the price of the wholesale electricity. Yeah. I think you and I will buy electricity for about 30p per kilowatt hour. Where we can charge a school about 18p per kilowatt hour, so
much less.
Yeah, a huge amount less, and you can think about that through the energy crisis during a few years ago. They would have been saving a lot of money. I think if you read the new the business plan and share offer, you'll see that all four of the new sites over 20 years could save around £125,000 as well. That's what we've estimated.
That's huge numbers when it comes to it. Okay, final question I have, and to be honest, we are heading towards the end of the show now, so it kind of links into my final question anyway, so we'll merge it together. And that is just for people who have been listening today who are interested, finding out more about your work. Maybe they're interested in getting involved in the next share offer. Maybe they're interested in volunteering, which this listener has asked. they just want to find out more about your work, how do they go about this? How can they get involved? How can they make a share offer?
Great question. First of all, I'd probably head to our website, gmcr.org.uk, because they'll be able to find all the information on there once the share offer is launched. It will be live, and we'll make sure it's easy to find from our webpage where they can get all the extra info on. But there's also things in terms of volunteering opportunities that are on there if someone would like to get involved in that way. There are lots of different roles, and I think often people might not think they can give something, but everyone has their life experience and their different skills, and I think everyone can contribute something, and we really appreciate everyone's time no matter what they're doing. And it's great to have a range of different people with different skills, and everyone works together as a team and does their bits. We're also on social media. Is it at GMCR?
We are GMCR.
Thank you.
So yeah, you can find us on the social, find us on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, and you can find us there. We've got content going out. So yeah, I'd say the main thing as well is, you can just be an advocate for community energy, for ethical energy, for locally sourced energy. That's what we want people to be. We want people to get on board with this and think, actually, I'm going to tell people about this. And that's kind of where we tend to get a lot of traction, is people telling other people about, there's this GMCR thing, there's this community energy, it's great, if you heard about it, I've invested and I still make money, and it's all good investment and those sorts of things. So that really helps us. So if you're able to do that, that'd be great. But yeah, so the first thing, have a look online, sign up to the mailing list, sign up to the newsletter, and just go from there, I suppose.
Brilliant. Well, thank you both so much for coming on today. It's been really interesting, really inspiring, really eye-opening about what we can achieve on a community level, and what we can give back through offers like what you have at Greater Manchester Community Renewables, the good that it's doing for our communities, for our school children, the educational level, the planet, the environment. There's so many positives, and it's been so interesting hearing about your work, and I hope our listeners, I'm sure they will have found it interesting today. So thank you so much, both of you, for coming on today.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us. It's been great chatting to you.
Thank you all so much for listening to today's episode of The Earth Show. Your support really does mean so much, and I'd be so grateful if you could leave a review, a rating, a comment if you enjoyed listening today. And don't forget to follow or subscribe to our podcast on here, and follow at @the_earth_show for more content on Instagram as well. And if you'd like to get in touch, I'd love to hear from you on info.theearthshow@gmail.com. But in the meantime, all that's left to say is don't forget to share this podcast with your friends if you've enjoyed it today. And from me, a massive thank you for listening, and have a wonderful week. Speak to you soon.